Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby.
Kaburagi is getting ready to dismantle the world of Deca-Dence, but first he's going to have to crawl through some monster shit. Hello, my friends, and welcome to a double dose review of the Deca-Dence anime series. Double dose in the sense that I didn't get a chance to watch the last episode, so you're going to get two discussions in this episode. I'm going to sort of fly a little bit through the last one, as I am very short on time. That's the reason I couldn't even watch the last one, but I definitely wanted to talk about some of the bigger developments that are going on in this series, a series which is continuing to surprise me and befuddle me for the fact that a lot of people seem to not like this show, if only for the fact that there was a massive and drastic twist, not to mention the incredibly weird juxtaposition of art styles that's used between the regular humans and the cyborgs. But one of my predictions look like they're actually coming true. I actually predicted at the very beginning of the series that eventually Kaburagi would try and rebel against the organization that created him, the Solid Quake Company. It looks like by the end of the most recent episode, he is planning to not only take them down, but their entire factory, which produces Gadoll. That's pretty much one of the biggest revelations about both of these episodes, is we get to learn that Solid Quake is actually creating these monsters, experimenting on them, making them bigger, faster, stronger, whatever they can do to make this whole Deca-Dence game more exciting for them, and so that they continue to get that profit. That's really what matters to them at the end of the day. But the last episode actually gives us a pretty big confirmation. So the episode previous, it showed that Kaburagi might have actually been killed by the organization. In fact, no, he's actually been sentenced to work in the shit mines. That's basically what happens, is that a lot of these cyborgs who basically go against protocol or get punished have to go to these like weird underground mines where they quite literally mine Gadoll shit. Basically, that's like where all of their, as they call them, feces go, and they just use it for energy sources and, of course, for punishment for all of these cyborgs. And this is where Kaburagi realizes that his life is worth a lot more than having to clean up some monster doo-doo, so he ends up meeting with some very secretive cyborgs, which actually allow him to log back into Deca-Dence. However, it's not going to be in his previous form. He's actually going to be able to get a brand new account and a brand new look. Now, what's also really cool about this episode is they bring back some of those other classic cyborgs from the beginning of the series, the ones that have really cool designs, like Donatello, who is a giant purple destructive robot, and even some of his other friends are there as well. And they have this like really cool sort of like battle with one another, where basically he has to get Donatello's approval to actually end up meeting this other cyborg who goes by the name of Jill, who's going to allow him to get back into Deca-Dence. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that the art style of watching these weird, cutesy robots fight is so jarring when compared to the other stuff that's actually going on planet Earth. It is weird. It really does feel like two different shows are actually like within the same show at a time, but still, I do love it. It still has me really intrigued. So basically by the end of that episode, like I said, Kaburagi ends up getting a brand new account. And that brings us to the latest episode of the series, where we finally get to see him entering his brand new avatar form, which looks a little different than his previous one, basically having a different hairstyle. The problem is Kaburagi's personality completely shines through no matter what avatar he's going to be into, so when he runs into Natsume for the very first time, she's already a little, like, weirded out by it. Like, she can already kind of tell this guy is dangerously similar to Kaburagi. Not to mention, of course, that Pipe, the little creature, actually notices that this is basically Kaburagi as well, and immediately becomes attached to him. Of course, she's a little freaked out over the fact that this has been revealed, but again, there's not much interaction between these characters. She just sort of sees him as this other random soldier who seems to have an affiliation with Kaburagi. He sort of plays it off like he knows him and that he could return at some point. I'm surprised he didn't try to come up with some sort of fake scenario in order to make this a little more believable, like maybe I'm Kaburagi's cousin, maybe I'm his brother, maybe I've been friends with him since I was a kid. He needs to come up with some sort of scenario in order to trick Natsume, because while she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, she's going to figure this out eventually. Of course, it's probably going to be confusing her as to why he looked completely different and he's a different body, but it is Kaburagi, but that's beside the point. What I really love about this episode, especially when compared to the last one, is how we get to spend a lot more time in the actual human world, in particular the giant fortress of Deca-Dence, and we get to see that there's been some massive damage which has actually caused the fortress, this giant gaping hole, which is allowing all of these Gadoll, which are a lot stronger now, to actually invade invade the place for the very first time, and it's devastating seeing all of these people have to run and be scared and attacked by all these giant monsters, if only for this one great scene where this little girl's about to be killed. Natsume comes in like a freaking boss, ends up taking this thing out with like pretty much just one attack, and that leads to what is probably the most emotional part of the episode, where her and the other soldiers realize that they're going to have to plug up this hole. If they don't do that, things are going to get worse for them. The Gadoll are going to continue to attack, and they all go around desperately trying to ask anyone they can for help. Natsume in particular going to see her old friend Faye, as well as all of the other people who work in the butcher shops, basically knowing that they have the skills to actually allow them to fix this giant hole. And at first, none of them want to do it. And they all have pretty good reasons for it. One, they're not soldiers. They're not prepared to fight against monsters if they are going to attack. And then we have the scene of Faye, which I think was probably the most human moment of the entire series, where at first Natsume's a little confused as to why Faye is so upset over everything that's going on. And the fact of the matter is, before Natsume became an actual soldier, everything was actually kind of peaceful. Yes, there were giant monsters, but they were always stopped by the soldiers, and the people of Deca-Dence were always safe. Faye basically became complacent in that world where she could live in peace, be with her friends, and now that Natsume has become a soldier and that everything has changed, basically her entire life has been flipped and everything has been taken away from her. Her peaceful life with her friend. This ends up hitting Natsume like a freaking truck, yet she still continues on her mission to try and find help. And luckily, thanks to all the other soldiers, they do find people who want to volunteer, including all of those butchers, who've decided that this is probably the best course of action. Intriguingly enough, everything that's going on here with the hole and the Gadoll actually invading is actually all a part of the plan of Solid Quake. And even like the big guy who like runs the entire Deca-Dence Fortress, Minato, even mentions that this is basically like a part of the script to slowly but surely and naturally cull out the humans in an actual simple way, because apparently their numbers are growing way too big and they have to keep them in a certain part. Basically, they're trying to control this entire world in a very creepy sense. And he's even confronted by Kaburagi, which is interesting because he implies that Minato is the one that actually allowed him to actually not get dismantled, but he seems to be okay with him even returning with a fake account in the game as well. The episode ends in a really great fashion, with Natsume basically sort of spilling her guts to this brand new Kaburagi, essentially saying that while she is weak, she simply cannot give up in this world. She has to protect all of these other people who don't have the ability to do it. And also, she's coming to grips with the fact that maybe this is a hopeless world. Maybe there is no stop to the Gadoll themselves, especially after the final words that Kaburagi gave her before they were separated. And this is, of course, which pushes Kaburagi to realize that he's just going to dismantle all of it. He's going to bring it down from the inside. He returns back to all of his cyborg friends and basically makes the declaration to Donatello and their group that they're going to destroy the Gadoll factory, which of course basically is treason against Solid Quake. So basically a massive cyborg civil war is about to go down in Deca-Dence. So what's the rundown on both of these episodes? Another just really great solid dose of episodes right here. And again, so thematically and visually different from one another, but again, that's what I loved about it. It just gave me such a fresh feeling while watching each one. And like I said, I think it was inevitable that Kaburagi was eventually going to rise up against them, and I still wonder how far this is going to go. Eventually, is he going to reveal himself to the humans? Are they going to team up with his organization as they try to take them down? Is there going to end up being like a massive war between the humans and the Civil War cyborgs? Like, there's just so much crazy stuff going on here. And of course, the big revelation, of course, that the Gadoll are indeed created by Solid Quake. Like, I'm not even sure what ultimately this means for them, like why they have to do this in the first place. Like, there's clearly like some other like hive mind leader behind Solid Quake that I don't think we've actually seen quite yet, that's sort of controlling things behind the scenes, the wizard behind the curtain, if you will, and I can't wait to see what that's actually going to be. Overall, though, both of these episodes gave me a really good feeling, for the sense that Kaburagi, while being a cyborg, is tremendously human in some senses, to the point where you have to realize, like, how sentient are these actual cyborgs in the first place. I mean, they're clearly of a very highly advanced, AI, considering they have such extreme personalities. Donatello and his group in particular, who I just think look really funny, and they're so cartoony and crazy when compared to everything else. But I really love that distinction between these two art styles. I still think it's way more fascinating than when the series presented itself as just a post-apocalyptic story at the very beginning. It manages to give the show way more of an identity, and it continues to make me enjoy it just all because of that. Production value-wise, again, I think the series continues to look really good. I especially loved the previous episode, though, with all of the cyborgs. It's rare that we get an episode that involves all of them, but I loved all of the moments, the distinctive designs of all those characters, and that big fight that he has with Donatello and the giant, like, spinning blades that's cleaning up all the Gadoll shit. That was just a really interesting scene and so different than anything else that's going on. Like I said, that's still, I think, going to be the biggest struggle for a lot of people with how different these art styles actually are. But me personally, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So I loved both of these episodes quite a bit, and I love where the story is going to be headed. So I'm going to give both of these episodes a 5 out of 5. I thought they were incredibly enjoyable, and I still think that Deca-Dence is sort of like the diamond in the rough anime of the season, where you either love it or you hate it. But I implore anyone to give the series a chance, as it's taking an old concept and giving it a really nice twist, and doing it with two very different art styles, which clash at times, but overall, I think really work for this type of show. Also, I just love the attention to detail when they try to present Deca-Dence as a video game. I think that's really awesome. I especially loved the beginning of the most recent episode where it looked like you were at like the start screen of Deca-Dence. You hit start, you create your character, you go through like all of that stuff like you would in like an actual video game, and I loved that attention to detail. I thought that was awesome. There's a lot of little moments in this series like that that really work and make it a tremendously charming show. So there it is. I love these episodes. I'd love to get your thoughts on both of them. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below. Are you digging Deca-Dence? Are you going to stick through to the end? What do you hope to see from the future? Let's discuss all of it in the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. I want to thank all my patrons who have been making donations to my Patreon page. You guys are freaking incredible. Remember, if you make a first-time donation, I'm going to review an anime series of your choice, and I want to add your name to this list of super awesome people. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.